Hello again. Since the skill reveal has been released for a while, I can now refine my predictions to focus solely on the numbers. This video will mainly be focusing on Faust and Mersault, but I will quickly mention Dawn and Gregor first too. For Dawn, I will say that my speculation was completely wrong. Seems like she's supposed to be a supportive ID that gives other allies more potency ramp quicker when she gains poise, but it still seems like she will be very good. And I also want to say for a minute that how is her skill 1 a pure skill? I mean, look at the animation, man. It's literally a slash. Anyways, I would predict her skill 1 will roll an 11 with 3 base power and 4 coin power. Standard for Season 300 IDs. Honestly, standard for pretty much every ID this season except for a few exceptions. Coin power condition is +1. Simple. I'm going to assume her skill 1 poise gain will be around 2 count on use, 1 poise potency on the first and second hit. For skill 2, I again predict a basic 4 base power, 5 coin power, standard of a 0-0 ID for this season. Poise condition is +1 coin power, on use poise count, well, I think will be 3, and the poise potency gain on hit will be 2. For the on crit effect, I think it will apply 2 poise potency to the ally with the least poise, and apply an additional 2 potency if that ally is from the Blade Lineage. For skill 3, I'm assuming 4 base power, 3 coin power with +1 coin power from the poise condition. Again, basic, pretty much every 3 coin skill this season rolls this much. I could see the damage bonus, well, actually first, I think that she'll gain 3 to 4 poise potency on use from the skill 3, and for coin 1 and 2, I think the damage bonus for the last coin, when those coins hit heads, is probably going to be like 5%. It could potentially be 10%, but I'm mainly thinking it's 5%. And the final on-crit effect, giving 2 poise count to 2 allies, and giving an additional 1 poise count to Blade Lineage allies. Finally, the on-kill effect, giving 1 slash damage up to Dawn and 1 ally. Evade will most likely be a 3 base power, 10 coin power, that is standard for 0-0 IDs. I assume the passive will give 1 poise potency to 1 other ally each time Dawn gains poise potency, and the support passive will be +1 poise potency gain. Pretty simple.
야, 출정조.
For Gregor, my prediction was a decent bit off too. While the effects on the skill 2 and skill 3 are kinda similar as they focus on deadly buffing, I will admit my passive was a massive reach. Starting with the skill 1, I assume this will be like a Lantern Dawn roll range with 5 base power and 7 coin power, totaling up to a 12 base power coin if you hit heads with no condition. I also think the Clash Power condition will activate at 5 bleed and give 1 Clash Power. I assume the Clash Wind effect will inflict 2 bleed potency, and the coin effect will apply 2 bleed count. For skill 2, I assume his skill power will be the standard 4 base power, 5 coin power. I've mentioned this already. I assume that for the Clash Power bonus, it will activate at 5 bleed in potency and give 2 Clash Power. I assume the first coin will inflict 3 bleed potency, and the second coin will inflict 2 offense level down, and will inflict 1 attack power down if the enemy has 5 bleed potency. For the skill 3, I'm once again assuming a standard 4 base power, 3 coin power skill 3 that gains 2 clash power if the enemy has 5 bleed potency, and will gain 1 coin power if attacking an enemy with 8 bleed potency. For the skill effect, I assume that on coin 1 and coin 2, he will inflict 2 offense level down same turn and 2 offense level down next turn, if the enemy has 5 plus bleed potency. For the third coin, I assume the on heads hit effect is 3 bleed potency, and the plus coin drop next turn is 1, if the enemy has 5 plus bleed potency. For the passive, I assume the bleed inflicted on Clash Wind is 2, because on the skill tune, it would make it so that Gregor can meet the conditions for the attack power down by himself, much like Rosepan or Mur can. And by only inflicting 1 bleed potency on Clash Wind is just too low, honestly. For the support passive, I think it will be 5 plus bleed potency for the slowest ally to apply 1 offense level down next turn per hit. For guard, I'm assuming 8 base power, 8 coin power.
출정 전야는 반드시 고요한 법이죠. 마침 달도 가득 차올랐군요.
Okay, after covering those two IDs briefly enough, I want to get into the main meat in the video. I've prepared a few graphics to help visualize my predictions better for these IDs, so now you may be asking, why are Faust's damage types messed up? And my answer to that is that I forgot to change the damage types of the skills with Inspect Element, and I can't be bothered to change it at this point since I'm already writing the script, so let's just go with it. Before looking at the skills, I want to get my prediction for Red Plum Blossom out of the way. I'm assuming it gives an additional 20% chance for the target to be crit, and that increases crit damage against the target by 20%. The rest doesn't need speculation, as we already know it applies bleed based on the value of Red Plum Blossom, and that it gets used up by 1 on crit. For his skill 1, I'm assuming standard 3 coin skill 1 with 3 base power and 2 coin power, and the condition will give it 1 coin power at 5 plus poise. I think the idea behind Blade Lineage's Faust is that she can have a bit of trouble stacking poise potency, so she will have to rely on her teammates like Blade Lineage Dawn and Blade Lineage Mer to help her stack potency better in a shorter amount of time. So the potency gain is at 2 for the skill 1. For her crit effect, I would assume that it would apply to Red Plum Blossom, since it seems decently hard to keep a stack of it, so she herself would need to apply a decent amount on all her skills to help keep it up. For skill 2, I'm assuming a standard 4 base power, 6 coin power, with the same condition and coin power as the skill 1 for poise, so 5 poise for 1 coin power. Normally, I would assume a higher coin power on the condition for an ID like this, but honestly, her special stat effects looks really powerful for bleed teams, so the coin power on her skill 2 through conditions might be lower as a result. Additionally, she can also gain coin power with the Blade Lineage Results effect, which I'll get in later. For her poise count gain, I'm assuming a split between 2 poise count on use and 2 poise count on hit. Much like Sinclair's poise count being on Clash Win and on hit, for her crit damage on the first coin, I think 50% is most likely. Moving on to coin 2, I think she will inflict 2 bind on hit and 3 Red Plum Blossom on crit, to help stack it a bit higher while crippling the enemy's speed. For her skill 3, this is clearly meant to be her big nuke skill, so I assume she'll gain a lot of damage from stacking Red Plum Blossoms and will gain a ton of coin power from poise. The Clash Win effect, non-consumption effect, are outlined pretty distinctly in the skill reveal, so we already know what those do. For coin 1 and coin 2, I assume they inflict 2 Red Plum Blossom each on crit, and at 6 Red Plum Blossom, they would also inflict 2 slash fragilities. I have it at these numbers because it makes the skill able to inflict all 4 slash fragility cleanly if the enemy has 3 Red Plum Blossom when Faust uses the skill, and she crits on both coins. And it also means that she can still apply 2 slash ability even if the enemy has 0 Red Plum Blossom if she crits on both coins. And she has her passive active. For her guard, I'm thinking 10 base power and 4 coin power, similar to stuff like Magic Bullet Otis and 7 Faust, with poise allowing Faust to gain up to 10 final power. Passive is pretty simple, so I'm expecting 3 Pride Own for applying 1 Red Plum Blossom on crit, and if the target is already at 8 Red Plum Blossoms, the passive switches to inflicting 1 defense level down instead. For the support passive, I think it will also apply 1 defense level down, though it could be higher and have a maximum value instead that can be applied during a turn. For the stats, I think the ID will just use the HP levels, the offense levels, and speed range, and defense levels of IDs like Magic Bullet Otis and Pirate Gregor. Going over her full kit, I think she will definitely be an amazing addition to any bleed team, poise team, or especially even in a team that combines both, thanks to Red Plum Blossom really facilitating larger bleed potency stacking, if you can get that Red Plum Blossom to around above 5 count, I think. She definitely looks like she'll have a very large benefit from being given a second skill slot, so she can inflict significantly more Red Plum Blossom. The potential bleed potency stacking with 2 skill slots, if I were to make a comparison, would be similar to how fast Rupture stacks its potency once talismans are applied on the target. Additionally, directly increasing the crit damage has some extra synergy with IDs like Ziracomo Rodion and Blade Lineage Sinclair to my knowledge, because their effects specifically increase the critical damage by a percentage amount. So, for example, Sinclair at 10 plus poise does plus 150% critical damage. This means a regular poise crit of 20% will instead deal 50% bonus damage. But for example, if Red Plum Blossoms give 20% more crit damage, Sinclair would instead deal 40% damage on crit with poise, and with 150% crit damage, it would make the crit deal 100% more damage instead. I definitely think Faust will be an extremely powerful ID, and I haven't even talked about the potential synergy with Blade Lineage Mersault.
착수하지 않는 겁니까? 돌을 던질 수밖에 없는 형국.
Speaking of Blade Lineage Mersault, I mean, just looking at its kit, it just seems insane. For my prediction, in the previous video, I think it was a decent bit far off. I kind of got the broad strokes, but my speculative kit was simply too basic. But I kind of got the Pride Skill 1 and Pride Skill 2 in my video, even though I doubted it. I kind of doubted it. But apparently, I had the good read on that. Anyways, generally, I would start with the skills, but his passive is really important to his entire kit, so I think it would be best to get that out of the way first. Looking at the passive, it's a bit difficult to discern, because the passive is just insanely strong, so it makes me lean towards a 4x res passive, but some parts of the passive make me think it could also just be owned, since they seem like they should be passively active all the time. But also with that little slash in the passive name, I wonder if it could just be 2 passives like Captain Ishmael. I had a hard time figuring out, but I just went with the first part of the passive is a 4x res passive, and the second part is either an always active passive attached to the red passive like Arheath, or it is a second passive that stays active without needing any sin resources owned or res. For the actual effects, I think the passive will give 1 poise potency and 1 poise count to 2 Blade Lineage allies whenever Mersault gains poise count or poise potency, and if there are 4 or more Blade Lineage allies, it will give 1 additional poise potency and count. For the status effect Swordplay of the Homeland, I think the effect for Skill 1 and Skill 2 is that they will gain plus 3 divided by number of coins coin power, and 30% divided by number of coins crit damage. For its effect on Skill 3, I think it will give 25% divided by number of coins damage, and 30% divided by number of coins crit damage. For Mersault Skill 1, I've said this like a lot throughout the entire video, but 3 base power, 4 coin power, plus 1 coin power at 4 points. This is just the standard now, at the very least. So, and if they were to break the standard, I would assume they'd go higher instead of lower. The Skill 1 effect seems to be pretty simple to predict. Considering the amount of allies the Resonance effect can hit, I think it will apply 1 Swordplay of the Homeland rending to Blade Lineage allies, and if there are 4 plus Blade Lineage allies, it will apply 1 more of the status effect, with a maximum of 2 applied per turn. I think this maximum would be best, because potentially, if it was not capped, if you give Mersault 2 skill slots, he could give a majority of the team just 4 base power on their skill 1s with enough pride res. On top of the passive effects that would give them more poise, more crit damage, and more coin power. It would just be too strong to stack. For poise gain, I'm assuming 3 poise count on use, 1 point potency on coin 1, and 2 poise potency on coin 2. For the skill 2, I assume 4 base power and 4 coin power, with the poise condition being 5 plus poise for 1 coin power. I specifically did this so you can't activate the additional coin power for the clash on turn 1 by using a skill 1 or skill 2 on the first turn. For applying Swordplay of the Homeland penetrating, it's the same reasoning as the first skill, so just 1 base, and if there are 4 plus Blade Lineage allies, 1 more. The clash 1 effect will definitely be 1, since any more would lead to some insane power stacking on 2 or more skill slots. For the on-hit effects, I think the second coin will give 3 poise on hit, and the third coin will deal an additional 50% damage on crit. Moving on to the skill 3, I think that it will have a base power of 7 and a coin power of 12. I honestly don't really have a reasoning for this. I just have a gut feeling that's just what it's gonna be. For the aggro gain, I think it will give 10 aggro to Mersault next turn. Generally, this amount of aggro is only given to 0/0 IDs, and it's exclusive to Zoe Sinclair and Jesse Yisang, but I could usually see Mersault getting this amount of aggro to help facilitate his tankier role on a Blade Lineage team. I assume the Clash 1 effect will give 4 poise, and the on-crit effect for the skill will give 2% crit damage per poise, and the damage would max out at 50% bonus critical damage. I have the additional damage on critical hit and the increased damage based on HP loss on the same line since I ran out of space, but I predict 70% for the former and 50% for the latter. Moving on to claim their bones, the counter skill used after losing the clash with the skill 3. This really just looks like a daring decision type roll. So I'm thinking 4 base power, 5 coin power. The effects of skills are mostly shared with Yield My Flesh, but I think this will do 50% bonus damage on critical hit instead of 70% like on the skill 3 because it's 5 coins. And it also gains attack weight. And speaking about the attack weight, I think it'll gain 1 attack weight for every 15 poise on self, maxing out at 2 plus attack weight. And for the condition that only targets 1 part/unit, it will deal 50% more damage. Finally, for the 4th coin, the effect will obviously inflict 5 para next turn and 3 bleed because that's what it does in Ruina. For the counter, I'm assuming that it rolls the same as the skill 3 and has the same bonus damage scaling with missing HP on self. If the slash power gained was more than 1, it would probably be too good, and I think it will give 4 poise on self on hit. Though, maybe they could make it higher but give it a low maximum so you couldn't just gain like 10 slash power up using it. Lastly, for the support passive, I'm thinking 20% bonus damage on crit would probably be correct, considering how many conditions you need to activate the support passive. Considering the teams you can put Blade Lineage Mirror on, since most of his effects seem to just exclusively only affect Blade Lineage IDs, he will obviously be best run when run on teams with enough Blade Lineage allies to activate his bonus effects. And potentially, depending on the amount you have to run, you could afford to slot Captain Ishmael in there as a part of the team so she can benefit from the resonance you'll be doing. Blade Lineage Mert looks to be insanely good with his 2 skill slots since it could boost the amount of support he gives from his passive and skill effects, twofold. And it allows him to take more hits for his team. I don't really see much use outside of Blade Lineage teams since so many of his effects really specifically only activate when there are Blade Lineage allies. So I guess, though I think he'd still be a good generalist since he probably just does good damage, he's a good tank, and he scrolls decently high. For his stats, I think he will have similar HP and stagger thresholds to IDs like 7 Otis and Sunshower Heathcliff. Defense level will be 45 with varying offense levels for Skill 1, Skill 2, and Skill 3. Overall, these IDs seem to be very powerful if my reads are correct, and I can't wait to try them out when the patch goes live later today.